Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Daily AI Show. Today is January 13th, 2026. And with us, we have a nice group today. And I think even Karl is jumping in too. So we might have a full boat. So with me today, I get so many names. It's fun. We have Andy. Jyunmi is here. Hey, Jyunmi. Always good to see you. Beth. Ann is hanging out with us today. Hey, Ann. Hey, Beth.
Hi.
And I'm Brian. And like I said, we might even have Karl pop in the door because I think he was available today. So really happy to see everybody already have some amazing comments in the chat, which is awesome. So yeah, I think this is we got plenty of us. So like let's get right into it. I will tell you before we get into the news, guys, because I'm sure everybody's good. There was actually some big news in the last 24 hours. So like we definitely want to get to that stuff, the Gemini stuff and all sorts of stuff. Let me just tell you my last like 5 minutes before this this show. So I had mentioned in the Slack channel that on Saturday I was like literally driving to the store Michael's, and I'm like, I think I'm gonna write a musical. Like it was just in my head, right? I was like, I think I'm gonna write a musical. And I was like, and I think I already have some songs that I've been workshopping inside Suno that are going to fit pretty well in there. They already had some narratives. And because I was a kid and I grew up on, music videos and MTV growing up, I typically visualize the music I'm hearing. I will typically say to myself or now to my daughter and say, what's the scene in the movie that this is playing in? Even though it's not from a scene, I'm like, what's happening while this song is going on? I don't know. It's the way my brain works, right? So you guys know I've been having a lot of fun with Suno. Well, I come home that day. I tell my wife and daughter, I proclaim to them, I'm going to write a musical, to which they have zero reaction because they've heard me say stuff like this before. Like, they're just a normal day in the Masteri household, right? So cut to like just a little bit later, and I'm like, maybe I'll just take five minutes and I'll just tuck into just right into Gemini, just see where we kind of mess out here. We'll cut to like 2 hours later, and I've got actions and I've got activities because, and this is the reason I'm sharing this, right? It's not just because of my crazy brain or whatever, because this is like the best to me of AI. And Firefighters, the musical, is what Jen said in the comments. No, Jen, but good idea. I'll keep that for the second one. I do love that though. Firefighters, the musical. That tells me you guys are long-term listeners. No. So anyway, my point to this is do I know anything about writing a musical? Absolutely not. I'm not qualified. Nobody would count me as qualified. I've never sat in on the director of anything of music. Okay. But here's the great thing. I didn't need to be. All I had to do was go and write some half okay prompts that says, hey, Gemini, I don't know anything about writing a musical. What do I need to know? And it's like, hey, Brian, listen, this is kind of what you need to know. There is a format, which I suspected, and right? And so that gave me a framework to work with. And I was like, okay. And so it's like, look, and I gave it the lyrics to some of the songs. I'm like, I feel like these songs fit in. This is what I'm thinking for the story. This is what it's about. It's loosely based off of I had this amazing friend back in the day named Leslie, who unfortunately, I don't want to take down the side, but unfortunately she was murdered. There's no other better way to say that. And after college, and it just was sort of devastating or whatever. But she was a unique personality and a good friend, and so I've had her in my brain, sort of working on this. Well, cut to all the way to the beginning of what I'm talking about, like 3-4 minutes ago, like an idiot, like a dummy. I go, we need that one other song, and it's about this breakup of two other people. There's the protagonist and his character, whatever. And like, yeah, it's got to really hit. Now, Gemini has everything we've been talking about. I've stayed in one transcript because of the context window, so it understands. And I'm like, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I think she's going through. This is how I see it, or whatever. So Gemini is like, okay. And so we went back and forth with some lyrics. I put that in Suno, and the damn song made me cry.
Oh my God.
I'm not even shitting you guys. Like 5 minutes ago, I'm sitting at this computer right where I am, and tears are coming down my eyes. I'm like sobbing in a room by myself. I'm like, damn it, AI. It's nothing better than both crying and laughing at yourself alone.
My God.
And I was like, I've got to tell the DOS crew this ridiculousness that is life sometimes. Yeah. Greg's like, damn it, AI. Yeah, I say that a lot. Anyway, I just wanted to share that. It's not news. It's not anything. I don't know where this is going. It's been really, really fun for me. It's been a creative outlet for me. And I think it's just a great example of this isn't work. This is just for fun. It's fun because it's fun for me, and I like to visualize things like that or whatever. And I have this co-host or whatever that can kind of help out with it.
I like this example because it illustrates how AI can interactively elicit from you something that is meaningful and important to you that you might not otherwise have found a way to express. And it also then makes that accessible to other people, something that's powerful and has been brewing inside you in some emotional content.
Yeah.
And AI has a clever way of, especially with large context windows, and ultimately with increasingly enduring memory about you individually. It'll have this ability to touch you in ways that you didn't expect.
Yeah, 1,000%. And I would be lying if I said this was the first time it made me cry, because last Saturday I was out recounting this to my wife at Rocco's Tacos. This is not even a joke. At International Mall, it was a beautiful day on Sunday. So we're sitting outside at like a mall, but it's like, there's like a whole restaurant area there. Anyway, and I'm recounting to this, and I realize I can't get through what I'm trying to tell her. And then she goes, damn it. she's like, so now we're sitting in a public place at Rocco's Tacos. She's got tears coming down her eyes. I'm choking up and can't get through the call. She at one point leans over and grabs my arm. And I'm like, this is the most funny and ridiculous and raw and like just ridiculous of a situation, and I loved every moment of it. Like it's just fun to me. And like, who would have expected that on Saturday morning? I don't know why I had that thought driving in the car to Michael's, but I was like, I think these songs actually are part of a bigger conversation. And so I think where I'm going to go from here, just to wrap this up before we get into news and stuff, is like I'm gonna see this through. I have, I think, almost like 95% of the songs. I think there's one more reprise that I need to do and work on. And then I will work on the rest of with Gemini. I'm going to work back and forth on, the book is what it says it's called, but it's, the script, if it is, outside of the singing. And then, I guess what I would do is go to one of these tools where I can start storyboarding it with just some light visuals that are just like beats of the different scenes from act 1 and act 2, just so there's a visual representation of like what I imagine in my head would be on the scene of the stage. And yeah, I don't know, maybe at some point that's something that I'll be able to share back with other people who might care in the community or otherwise, but certainly not doing this because I think this is my new my new passion or my new job or anything, but it's certainly fun. And I hope other people are using AI in this fun way. I know, Beth, you've certainly talked to us about all your creative outlets, and you do amazing things. Jyunmi with your video knowledge and stuff. And I don't know you as well, but creative outlets. And, Andy, we've talked a lot too. But I think this is just a fun example of what AI can bring to somebody who doesn't have skills in those areas.
Yeah. And we actually have a friend who is also Kyle Shannon is also writing a musical.
Is he really?
Oh yeah.
Path.
I had no idea. That's awesome.
He's got producers and stuff now. I mean, it's
That's way beyond me. Yeah.
We had the voice actors performing at Festivus.
I love it.
Yeah. It's the story of Kevin Russo kind of falling in love with his AI, and then the operating systems all go away. Do you remember this? The guy from the New York Times.
You do once we say the name Sydney. Remember Sydney from the New York Times?
Yes.
Journalist
Gotcha.
Sydney tried to convince him to leave his wife, etc.
Yes.
That's the backstory of Kyle's musical, and it's so cool. Like it's clearly so cool. People are just finding great outlets. Cool.
And here's the thing, because there's a low lift. I mean, I've put hours into this now, but in terms of financially, there's no more lift here than what I pay for Suno and Gemini, which we would consider to be very low lifts. But I have fully produced songs. I'll have lyrics and things like that. And so it enables somebody like me that goes, well, let's just see how far we can push this. And I think that's sort of what's cool about it, is that I don't have to have investors. I mean, if you're getting to that point, you have producers like Kyle's doing, apparently, sure. But like, if you just want to see it through to the idea of your story, you know, then you have the tools to do that, you know.
And Kyle has a background in theater. That's so.
Oh, really? Yeah.
His lived experience is he's taking it in his lived experience in a wide way, and you are taking it in your lived experience in a wide way.
Yeah. And at some point I'll send it and I'll show it to Kyle and be like, is this shit? You know, it's this garbage. It doesn't really matter to me because, like Andy said, it's about my experience and thinking about Leslie in the background and stuff like that. So yeah, it's all worth it to me. All right. Hey, Karl joined us as well. I've talked enough about this. It was something I've been meaning to share with you guys, but since that just happened to me before the show, I thought, yeah, you know, it's a morning show. You know, let's chat about the things going on in our lives with AI. So anyway. All right. We have a whole host here. So let's get into the news. There were some big stories here. I won't lead with them because I've talked enough, but who wants to jump in with some of the, either the Claude news, the Gemini news? There's tons of it. So
I'll jump in real quick. If you haven't heard already, Apple has gotten off of the bench and has made a multi-year deal with Google to make Gemini the model layer of their next version of Siri, which is supposed to come out sometime this year. So big news for all the Apple device folks. I know it's sort of a Apple user meme right now of Siri and some of the problems trying to use it. So some of the details is they plan to bring out Siri, a new version of Siri later in 2026. They did integrate ChatGPT support at a certain level for Siri, and that integration is expected to remain. But Google's Gemini will now become the default model layer for the upgrade. Now, this probably will raise a few questions down the road about platform dependence and competition, since it does extend the long-running Apple-Google relationship for search. And I know there's been questions about that ongoing over the last couple of years. So this is just expanding out deepening of their business arrangement.
Is anybody else excited about this?
Yes. I mean, please let's let Siri be something more, something other than, would you like me to ask ChatGPT? Yes, always. If you're asking me, the answer is yes.
I mean, it's a huge jump of install base, right? So,
right. Didn't Apple use Google's browser initially, or use something else of Google? Like, they had a relationship with Google early on and then developed their own thing for whatever that was. No, not ringing a bell.
Well, okay. Well, the big thing that they get paid a couple $2 billion a year for is Google is the default search in all of the Safari browsers that are pre-installed on all the Apple devices. Yeah.
I know someone who is not happy about this, and that is Elon Musk, who made his voice clear. He said that this deal between Apple and Google is an unnecessary concentration of power.
Oh my
Here's from the guy that concentrates all his businesses into one power, but okay.
Yeah. Didn't they just integrate Grok in the U.S. military? Like,
yeah,
concentration of power. Karl,
but doesn't he have the ear of the president? So that could be easily right. So I think like that, to me, when Elon Musk, I was like, okay, well, he could just say, hey, this deal doesn't work, blah, blah, blah. And then there's an investigation launched on it. Like this, I sometimes when I look at that, I'm like, okay, well, when he says it, he has the ear of the president. The president can literally go after the Fed Reserve chair. Aren't they trying to indict him right now on something? Which I was like, that's pretty crazy. So if you have that connected to power, well, what?
So,
right. And I don't know if he does or not right
connection.
now. You know, it depends if you're on the ins or the outs right now. You know, I have no idea.
Right. It's with that connection, it has to be news, but it doesn't have to be true. Right?
Sure.
Right.
All right, so Gemini was the big one of two that I knew. Who's got the next news story? Let's see if the other one comes up that I thought about.
Well, the other one is co-work.
Yep.
And so, we've been talking a lot about Claude Code recently, and the point of friction for the general population of AI users out there is that Claude Code works best if you are facile with using Terminal on your desktop, which is a very non-user, user-friendly kind of interface. But Claude sees the advantages that Claude Code, I should say Anthropic sees the advantages of Claude Code and how it can be used in ways that aren't about coding at all, because it is a persistent agent that can accomplish things through your browser and on your desktop and elsewhere. And so it becomes a very agentified AI assistant when you install it and learn how to use it. Well, Co-work, which they just announced, is in research review right now. So it's not currently available to anyone except who's on the Max subscription for Claude. And it's only for Mac OS at the moment. So you have to have an Apple, I'm pretty sure you'd have to have an M series Apple Silicon Mac. And so what's ironic here is Co-work is for the rest of us. Like, this is Claude for the rest of us and in the Claude desktop app. But the people who are going to be trying it out first are probably the ones who are already using Claude Code, right? So they're going to learn about it and kind of put it through its paces in order to make sure that all the rough edges are knocked off before the general public gets the generalized release of Co-work. So what does Co-work let you do? Okay, it's in the desktop app, and you give it access to any or all of the folders that you want to on your computer, and it can then read, edit, create files in that folder. It can reorganize your downloads folder, for example, and rename every file if you ask it to make it something that's related to what's in the download rather than some string of illegible characters. It could produce a draft report from scattered notes, and basically I'm listing here the things that are in the Anthropic Claude Co-work announcement. So one of the things that I have things in my system that are just like dumping grounds, and Claude Co-work could be given instruction to spend time every day going through all that and reorganizing it, making it into a hierarchical organization and so on. It completes work with agency, much more than you would see in a back and forth conversation. So it'll be an easy introduction for people to see just how competent autonomy in agents is to go after objectives that you give it. And so you give it a task and Claude will make a plan. It'll steadily complete it while looping you in on what it's up to as it goes along. So it can use your existing connectors, and it can do everything you'll want it to do. So Anthropic's now just thrown a big block of weight in the general consumer application space with this co-work idea. And so it's pretty exciting. Anthropic is challenging OpenAI for its productization of AI into the hands of general consumers. The nearly 1 billion users monthly that use ChatGPT. Now maybe Claude Code will have a desktop entry into that game.
Did we want to do the demo or later?
Yeah, let's check it out.
Is there more news? Because we should probably finish up the news.
Do that first.
Yeah. Let's do that first. And also, I just want just pick up on this because we literally talked about this yesterday, Andy, and then Karl, you were here too. It was the three of us. And what was one of the things we were talking about yesterday? Oh, Claude Code is just, it's for the developers. Who's going to get in the DOS prompt? Oh, but they have desktop. That's for somebody. And it just, as things go, because we talk daily about AI, these things roll out. And so we just had this whole conversation yesterday about how is this going to get to the everyday user? And it's like, cue the news, and then Cowork comes out. And yes, we can't all play with it right now. But I thought it was very interesting that came literally right after the three of us had just had that conversation yesterday. Okay, so we do have a demo coming up on that from Karl. Well, I don't know if it's Cowork. Is it Cowork, Karl, or just? Yeah. Oh, fantastic! All right, so let's run through some more news, like you were saying, Beth, and then we can get to that.
I got a couple more, unless anybody's got things. No? Okay. I'll run through mine really quick. I thought it was interesting, and something to note is Microsoft is launching a community first AI infrastructure plan. They're making essentially 5 promises whenever they're going to build out data centers. They say first is pay our way. So data centers will not increase residential electricity prices. 2, minimize water use and replenish more water than it uses. 3, create local jobs. 4, add to local tax bases for public services. And 5, invest in local AI training and nonprofits. And so this is coming out of the AP, describing it as a push in response to growing local opposition tied to electricity costs and water usage. So I think that was interesting to highlight. On the more techie side, NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, so if you're in IT, you know who these folks are. It says that its Center for AI Standards and Innovation published a request for information. And so basically a request for information is when any large governmental body is going to make a ruling or make some sort of standard. In this case, they have to go through a process of requesting information from the public, businesses, industry, and things like that. But this RFI is on the secure development and deployment of AI agent systems, which NIST describes as systems that can plan and take autonomous actions that affect real-world environments. NIST has flagged risks such as indirect prompt injection, data poisoning, and specification gaming. And NIST said responses will inform voluntary guidelines and best practices for agent security and contribute to its research and evaluations. So this is a big move on the governmental side of things to quantify or create a standard for this technology. NIST is also the group that creates the basic cybersecurity frameworks that all the IT departments follow. So getting them to move forward on this process is actually a fairly big step at implementation of a certain level of standards in deploying that technology. And then finally, really quick, AI and science. NVIDIA and Eli Lilly announced a joint AI lab for drug discovery and development. So they want to invest $1 billion over the next 5 years to create an AI co-innovation lab in San Fran focused on drug discovery challenges. NVIDIA says the lab will be built on its BioNeMo platform and its Vera Rubin architecture that they recently showed off at CES. And they bring together with the Lilly scientists, with NVIDIA AI researchers and engineers to generate large-scale data and build models for biology and chemistry. So it's a bit rapid fire, but all great hits, I think, over the last like 48 hours.
Lily was one I was going to bring up, but more I'm just disappointed that you didn't do the in science after you said that. I was like such a letdown. I was like, oh man, Jyunmi, you gotta hit the notes, man. You know, science on there.
I'll do it for next time. I don't know. I got the sense that you know what it is I'm really excited for the co-work demo because because Karl's got access and I won't have access, so I want to see how it works.
You're just trying to move it along. I get it. You're just trying to move it along. Well, I know somebody else was jumping in. I'll just give my quick update. It's more of an update news from yesterday. Remember I said yesterday on the show, I was telling Andy and Karl that over the weekend, 11 Labs Scribe V2 and V2 real time came out over the weekend. I was like, well, this is perfect timing because I was literally working on the Project Bruno and the website for transcription. And so I was telling the guys yesterday, hey, I've had some positive results. Well, I've since worked on that more while I was vibe coding last night. I have a plan to at least vibe code 1 hour a day right now. So like I'm making an effort here. And so I used vibe code. I used Scribe V2 again yesterday. And I will tell you that now that I've had a little more time, because yesterday I was like, I think this is pretty good. You're getting what we would call VTT results out of that. Not to say that other models and transcription, like Andy was pointing out yesterday, these tools have been around for a while. I will just say this: what is different, what I haven't seen before, is in the or as it's listening to the audio, as 11 Labs V2 Scribe V2 is listening to the audio. If it hears laughter, it's actually adding those into the transcripts as little notes along the way, which is actually super, super helpful. They become these little timestamps that are, well, for the project I'm working on, really helpful because they become little anchors, in the transcript. So I went through yesterday with what I hadn't done before yesterday was I went through with a fine-tooth comb and I was like, okay, I'm at 43 seconds, point whatever. And then I would literally go to the YouTube video I was testing with, scrub to that point, and it was dead on. And as I was saying yesterday to Andy, usually what happens is there's creep in the transcript. And so they don't line up. And so that was my biggest concern was, am I going to have any type of creep here? Because I was giving it a 200 plus megabyte file. So not huge, not small, somewhere in the middle. And I'm just happy to say that Scribe V2 was able to handle that. So if you want to play with that yourself without getting into the lovable coding that I've been doing using the API, you can literally go onto 11 Labs website and get the same thing. It'll literally transcribe your MP4, your MP3, you know how it goes. And you can also live talk into a mic to test its ultra low latency V2 real-time model that they have. So we could literally turn that on a la an Otter to this show. And in fact, I meant to do it today, and it should do a damn good job of transcribing us live through this show. Now we kind of get the transcription after, and it's really good, but maybe that's something we can test this week or something like that. So just wanted to give a quick update on 11 Labs V2, Scribe V2, and also the real-time model on it.
Very cool. So
I've got one other that I want to do before we hit the demo here. The co-work demo upcoming. Wow, this is amazing. I'm so glad Karl's got the Max subscription so that
go tell your friends. Co-work demo coming in like 2 minutes.
Coming in 2 minutes.
Okay. Just keep teasing it to get more people in.
So there are a number of folks out there that track what's going on with the manufacturers of OpenAI's hardware, and Foxconn is one of those major players, and they're trying to discern what's actually happening with OpenAI's hardware strategy by watching what the changes and announcements are that at that lower level of manufacturing. So anyway, leaked information now that Foxconn, a major small iPhone maker and so on, manufacturer of consumer electronic devices, has been told to prepare for a total of 5 devices by Q4 2028. So there's probably a home style device in there. We know about the pen, the Jony Ives thing, but that group that Jony Ives is running also has control over some of those other products. And so there's one that has an internal code name called Sweet Pea, and it's been moved to the front of the line for manufacturing by the Jony Ive team. And that release for that new product is supposed to be around September of this year, with a volume projection of 40 to 50 million to be sold in its first year. And so it's a unique, unseen before device. The main device is metal and resembles the shape of an egg stone. And in a sketch that was provided, it looks to be a challenger to AirPods. And it would be something that you can carry in a pocket, and you slip it over your ear. It has a little hook that comes out and sits over your ear and sits in front of your ear, so that to put a speaker in proximity to your ear. But there's other things built into this thing, because the other leaked information is that OpenAI device has the highest bill of materials of all of the devices. So higher cost of manufacture than even the pen that Jony Ive is putting out there, on the hardware device side.
Okay. The highest bill of materials for stuff that he's built previously. Is that what that means?
No, among the five expected products, the bill of materials for this one is like very, very high. It's going to be a very expensive product.
Yeah. Got you. Okay.
Yeah. Who knows what that means? Maybe this would be an example. So like if you can buy AirPods today, which interface with your phone in a beautiful way, if you're an iPhone user, if that costs $250, maybe this is a $400 item, because it's a specialized AI hardware item.
Yeah, or more. Yeah, that 450 sounds like it would be cheap to me, like considering what you're talking about. You know, I mean, a new iPhone's at least $1,000, right? So depending on what it does and where it comes into the market, it could be one of those again where it's like it's not for everybody. It's super high price. Only the true people who want to test it out will get it first, and then the price will come down after that. Okay. Any other news that anybody wants to share before we get into the co-work demo? No, I'll take that as a no. Okay, Karl. The stage is yours. I feel like now I should be like, Karl enters stage right. He is holding a computer.
Yeah. You guys have the. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Too many screens. Okay. So essentially, what you have here is you're on the Claude desktop. So for those who haven't seen it before, looks like Claude, right?
Right.
Now you have the code ability in there, hence Claude Code, but you'll also have co-work in there, which is kind of strange because you can kind of do a lot of this stuff in here. But okay, I digress. So I actually tested it on, well, before we actually show the test. So for those who didn't see the video of this, you have, they have like preset prompts. They're not that great. So I would not use them. I would actually, use the prompting methods that whatever you were taught. Now, what you could do here is, and I'll show you, you could do the exact same things as you would with normal Claude. So add your connectors, add files and photos, change your models, and so on. But what I noticed, the difference between this and regular chat is it kind of, you're supposed to use it in a way that you're not supposed to chat off it. You're supposed to assign it. You're supposed to take tasks, make it do tasks, right? The big key feature here is this. You can choose folders in your local drives. And when I say local drives, if you have, let's say, a Dropbox connected, you can connect that as long as it's in your network to your local drive. So I could go into Dropbox and make edits, and it'll affect the cloud. Same thing with 0 to 60, which we are on Microsoft 365. It'll do the same thing, right? So you could do that. So the example that I did is one of our clients where normally what I would do is I would be in Claude Code, and I'll give you the instructions that I provided during this test today. And so, okay. So I already know that usually when I'm in Claude Code, I would say like base instruction in each subfolder, it's doing something else, is a different department. So here, right, we have in KMSS, I have like different folders for each department that we were working with. So in this case, it's a accounting firm. So there's the tax department, training department, process department, HR department, compilations review department, audit department, admin department, right? So what I wanted to do is go into every single one of these folders. I wanted to look up this specific file, the discovery process outcome, and a little backstory. When we do discovery in person, we have a summary and a transcript, a summary of the transcript, right? Summary what we talked about. And then what happens is on a first pass, I have a very specific layout on, you know, what happened in that meeting, what are potential AI solutions, what are non-AI solutions, what is a roadmap of implementation, workshops, whatever, all that stuff. That turns into this HR discovery process outcome, right? That for this department, it's one. So what the instructions is to go into every single department, review that specific folder, and then create for me a strategy, which I say don't use because we have to present in a couple of days. But I'm like, for the team, don't use this because it's just a test. And this has just a quick look what co-work presented. It's essentially executive summary, introduction, background, it's a pretty comprehensive AI strategy. Now, what I asked it to do is in this folder, you'll notice this skill right here. That's the specific skill to create said AI strategy, right? That is a skill that I created in Claude, and then I just move it around different folders. And in this case, I wanted to test it out here. Any questions? Because I know I went through quite a bit.
So did you call it skill.md for us? Or do you
no. So no. So for example, I have a folder of some Claude skills. So it's actually called AI synthesizer, right? The zip file. And in the zip file is that skill. For this specific purpose, I just wanted to get there, right? So I just copied it here, and I wanted co-work to just work in this file to leverage this skill.
Nice.
Now, in same thing with so here I'm using Visual Code Studio where I have Claude Code installed in the terminal, right? Same instructions, exact same instructions, and it's in the file. Like Claude Code is currently working in that folder as well. So same instructions, and essentially the outcome is review all those specific discovery outcomes for each department, create for me that strategy using the skill, and I want you to create this PowerPoint for me. I usually create the PowerPoint. I have a template. I didn't create a skill for the template right now. I just wanted a quick test. And so, yeah, essentially put that prompt. As you can see on the right side here, you can see all the different artifacts that it created, as well as the context. So it's a folder. I just asked it to do web search at the bottom, and then the working files is skill MD file, training, compilations. Like it actually did all of it, which is kind of neat. So you can see all the resources it was using. And so from there, it created, so I'll show you what it created. So I have the Claude co-work test. So it created this. I did it twice, and then here's the presentation it built for me. Not bad. Too much text, but again, I didn't provide the skill that I normally would to create this. I like mine a little bit more rough and picturesque than something that looks like this, because you can see it. It looks like an AI generated this presentation, which I'm not a big fan of.
It does, but I just want to point out that it's not horrible. It's not like, I agree with you. It's real super text heavy. This would be like more akin to somebody who might want to read through it on their own versus a presentation. But to your point, you could have given it your skill, your template, and really honed it into your 0 to 60 colors and branding. So okay. Just want to make sure. By the way, there's people who are going to be listening to this on Spotify. This is one of those episodes where at about the 31 minute mark, you want to switch over to video, and you can do it on Spotify, YouTube. Those are going to be your two main places, so that you can see Karl's demo here, because it is going to be very hard to just listen to this. We'll do our best to explain what's going on, but
so
video.
So that was the Claude co-work in the desktop. I wanted it to compare it against the Claude Code, right? Now you'll kind of, it's right now. This time I did provide it our brand colors, and you can see it's not as it's worse than the other one. Again, didn't provide it the skill to do the presentation, but I think what the skills, because I believe there is pre-built skills in here, and I know the presentation skill is one of them. I don't have the presentation skill in Claude Code, so you can tell the difference of what, like, it just looks generally better. But what I did find though is I like the layout of this a lot more. Not that it matters, because what I do is, in my workflow, I copy and paste this to Notion and like literally go through it myself. Like I do a lot of editing in this, but it works out, right? So again, I do both. I would say for a regular person, this is probably easier to use, but there's a lot more flexibility for someone like me to use in Claude Code. It's just, this is less intimidating than this, 100%, right? When you're in here, you're like, what is going on?
Yeah.
Right. But, and this is where
you're not. I just want to say, no, you're not. Claude Code is okay.
No, it is. But if I show this to a whole bunch of like just people who don't like, this easier to see than
100%.
Not even
so
close.
Much easier. I just want to say, for people who are listening to this, if you are scared of Claude Code, come. It's okay. It's okay. We'll hold your hand while you go through it. It's all right.
And so Greg's question, can you create yes, you can create a skill that creates the skill. So easily, like the easiest place to create the skill is in Claude, because it already has a skill builder. So it's just like, this is what I want, right? But you can easily create the skill to put it in your project if your project encompasses that way. Now, obviously, I didn't test this enough. I was asking questions against it because I was like, hey, could you make this even more efficient? How would you use subagents? Now, I heard that you could use subagents, but I didn't know how. So I was like, so I asked his thoughts on creating subagents, and it's like, here's how the opportunity goes. And I'm like, cool. And it actually started doing it. So I think it can, like, it created for me before like this meeting, or no, yesterday night. So I asked it to do subagents, and it actually created it faster. So you could ask it to do your tasks, but think of it as subagents. It's like you can do it as a batch. So instead of it looking at each file one at a time, you can create a skill or an agent that does it in a batch. So all 6 or 7 departments, each skill, the skill is replicated 7 times and it does it, and it all does it. So you can go faster, right? Probably not going to save you as much time here, But for a bigger task, you could do that. That's one piece. But I do find the skill aspect of this is so much better. So I'm just going to switch to cursor, because I created a whole bunch of agents plus skills plus learning MD files. Again, for people who know and use Claude Code to code and to know all the features, like I was using Ralph Wiggum a lot, right? Front end design, those kind of things. Yes. But for regular people who don't know about this is probably easier. My only thing is that I don't know, first of all, how many people are on Claude to begin with. 2, you have to download the desktop app, and I think most people use web. And then 3, once you clear those hurdles, who's going to teach you this? There's no like course on, hey, how to use cowork in Claude in the desktop. That is a very, like, you're going down a pretty narrow funnel. So I thought that was an interesting, so that was my initial test of that. I feel I'll probably still use Claude Code just because there's more flexibility and I can easily create stuff, but it's not bad for something that was built in a week and a half, apparently. I think Boris said, or whoever built it, it's like, oh, I built it in a week and a half, and I'm sure they don't refine it. And I do feel every single AI lab should be putting this in, because this enables people. I feel like when OpenAI does this eventually, that'll have a bigger impact, because like there's a lot more people using ChatGPT now connect. And it's going to be hard for Gemini to do it, because of all of the major models, Gemini is the one that has a very difficult time connecting to anything outside of Google. So if you try to connect it to Outlook, you try to connect it to, and talking from what we do in terms of our clients, again, mostly Microsoft, it is very, very difficult to connect those. Outlook, Calendar, OneDrive, 365, that is very difficult for Gemini to do versus a ChatGPT. Even Claude, there's some friction there versus a ChatGPT, which has the native pieces in there. So yeah, just that's kind of my.
So I wanted to ask as a follow-up, because you had mentioned ChatGPT and when they will implement this. So for right now, you'd say that Cowork is offering a set of it's an integration or product that the others don't have something similar. They don't have a way to do the same kinds of things.
You can use Codex to literally do what, right? So switch Claude Code with Codex. It's just Codex was not built, like, it doesn't have the general purpose. Now, mind you, I haven't tested 5.2 against the stuff that I'm doing. So maybe it can, but.
And I want to point out too, like, look, it's not the same thing. I'm not saying this is apples to apples, but if you're well, you can do this in Microsoft too, but if you're a Google shop like we are at scale, then so many others are. Look, there's this idea, this concept of using skills and using resources and building other things. I mean, a gem is going to connect to your Google workspace, and you can point it at files and folders and stuff like that. And no, it's not this level. It's not. But if you're like, oh, I like what Karl is showing us. I like the concept that there's these skills, and yeah, we can't get down to maybe sub agents, but you can get pretty far. And if you're already on like a Google workspace, or you have a lot of your documentation is on Google Drive, well, then that's one potential solution. But I mean, I agree, obviously, that the way this is set up is going to be pretty revolutionary. And going back to what you said yesterday, Andy, this is great. And then ChatGPT or OpenAI is going to come out with theirs, and maybe Microsoft has theirs, and maybe Google will do something with the desktop too. That'll be sort of hybrid integrated with Workspace. But if we just go a few more months, I think what you were talking about yesterday, Andy, where it's not really about one particular company's build, but about using the right model at the right tool at the right time, regardless of who built it.
Yep.
And I think that's what we're sort of stepping towards. And so Claude Cowork is phenomenal. As Nate Jones said yesterday, Anthropic solved the one problem, the biggest problem they had, and it was the name Claude Code, because it does so much more than code, but it definitely, it makes it sound like this is a coding tool, and I'm not a coder, so why would I play with it? Sort of back to what you said, Beth. Like, it's okay. Come check out Claude Code. It just doesn't have a great name. So Nate was making the joke that, like, they solved it. They called it Cowork.
Right.
Cowork doesn't sound like a coding tool.
And just to like emphasize again that what we're seeing are the tools that the people are using themselves.
Yeah.
Boris Cherny talked about how Claude Code proliferated in Anthropic. Like the first guy he had installed on his system sat across from him or sat like right next to him, and so like he made him install, and then he saw people using it, and then like the data analysis guy was using it. Like it proliferated in that kind of way. And one of the people on the team is named Felix, and I'm sorry I don't know his last name. But he said on the Dan Shipper Every.to live yesterday that they sprinted this Cowork in about 15 days. Yeah. They saw people over the holidays using it for so much more. And they were like, okay, yeah, no, we get it, right? So what we're seeing is, if not like, we're not seeing Prometheus yet, right? We're not seeing the code improve itself autonomously with nothing, but we are definitely seeing a speed up, right? Give some ideas. We have something, it comes out in 2 weeks. It comes out in 1 week. It comes out in a couple days.
So,
and you have,
oh, sorry. Go on.
No, I was just gonna say, and you have, like Gareth pointed this out yesterday, and you have Boris straight out coming out and saying, yeah, 100% of the code to improve Claude Code was written by Claude Code in the last 30 days. So isn't that a precursor to Prometheus? All he's doing is he's using his knowledge, obviously, and pushing it forward as the architect or whatever. But at some point, the human architect gets replaced by the AI architect. And then Prometheus sort of says, well, I know what the next best thing to do is.
Well, that now we're in Ralph Wiggum territory, right?
Yeah.
Because
Prometheus Yes, 100%. And then like when you're talking about Beth, like you get glimpses of it, right? Because like Ralph Wiggum's one, but then like I shared something where you can do a retrospective of your session and then make it update the skill that you were using. So every single time you finish a session, the skill is updated, technically teaching the skill to improve but you're still manually controlling it. So I think there, it's going to be the thing is, though, again, back to the point, the capabilities are ridiculous, but where people are at understanding these capabilities is like night and day, right? We're still talking about Brian custom GPTs. We're still learning, like we have to teach people custom GPTs, gems, projects, and we're already on Cowork. We're already on Excel plugin. We're already on whatever the next thing is. And it's like, if only you knew that you could do this, your life would be 10x.
For me, one of the clearest examples of that is, so this is a skill and it's written in Markdown. And the whole next conversation is like, wait, what? What is Markdown? Or this is a JSON thing.
Right.
What? So I don't understand what it looks like. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see the JSON.
I don't want to see the JSON. I don't want to.
I get it, but it is helpful if you can. If it does not make you want to tear your hair out and run screaming, right? It's a lot of parentheses and squiggly things and commas, and it's a language that computers speak.
And look, there's a good example of this last week when I was on site with a client. We wanted Gemini, and it did create the lucid charts for us. And I don't know the code for Lucidchart, but damn it, Gemini did. And it's like mermaid.js. I'm like, great. Do I care what mermaid.js is? Nope. All I want to know is, can Gemini write it cohesively so that Lucidchart understands it? I'm just the guy in the middle, right? So like, go ahead, Gemini, give me the mermaid.js. And then I go right over to Lucidchart after doing a good breakdown of what the chart needs to demonstrate. It builds the mermaid.js. I literally copy and paste it into the code block in Lucidchart and hit create. And 2 seconds later, I have a full Lucidchart. I created like 10 in the matter of less than 45 minutes for a client, just plus Gamma. So last week I was sitting on site, and you want to talk about orders of efficiency. Last week we were running transcripts through Otter live in a room with the client. We're getting their feedback. Between those sessions and a lunch and the next sessions, I was showing them the Gamma slide decks of what we discussed, what we uncovered 2 hours ago, with complete Lucidchart showing them what the AI workflow is that we're going to build out for them.
It's awesome.
What?
I know.
You know what I mean? Talk about using tools to make things more efficient. And by the way, the client loved that. They loved that. They're like, we've never seen anybody turn this around that fast. And it was just using AI tools plus good note taking and good questions, and to create the things that were going to make a difference to them so they could visually see it. And we're able to show it to their engineers. And then I was on a call with their tech stack yesterday, and they're like, okay, let's look through these Lucidcharts together, because we had to get through, approvals and things like that for N8N and different things we need access to, like Salesforce. And that created a nice visual for us to go, okay, we're over here in this box. Beth, I've seen you create workflows before. I'm horrible at it. I don't know what's supposed to be a diamond, what's supposed to be blue, what's supposed to be a rectangle. Like, I know they have meanings to them, but I don't really know that. And guess what? I didn't need to. I just had to tell Gemini what I wanted. It created the script, and then Lucidchart made the visualization. I don't need to understand it. So kind of back to your point, like, yeah, sure. Understand and be able to read a little bit of JSON. By the way, JSON's super easy to read. Python's pretty easy to read as far as just kind of figuring out where things are with curly brackets, to your point. So that doesn't take a high level of degree. Writing it, totally different, but reading it, not so bad. So you start realizing as you work on these tools a little bit more, all this stuff starts to look very similar. And you're like, okay, well, if I can read that one, I can read this one. And it just builds your confidence to say, I am totally capable of doing this, even if I have zero code background. And even if I'm just kind of kicking it and starting it out with AI, you are totally capable of doing the Lucidchart and Gamma thing that I said. Just start in Gemini or your LLM of choice and have it work you through the process.
So I wanted to ask you all one thing too, because this got me thinking, and it's actually the comment from, I think Cisco was talking about N8N, and I was like, hold on a second. If this can, and I'm sure ChatGPT will, connect to my email, connect to my systems, has connectors, has apps, and connects to my local drive, what the hell do I need any AI automation for? My literal system has access to all these things that I can do. So any of the tools that Zapier or whatever, I'm like, could I argue then that this, from just AI workflows, not RPAs, but like, wouldn't this do it, that I can do it myself now?
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to add one reflection. Is I think this is a perfect example of the gap between reality and us. What I would call normal people, the people, seeing it on seeing something about ChatGPT on USA Today, right? Versus those of us who have even just the vocabulary, right? Like JSON and Python and Lucid and Gamma and all the other words that we said that are even more seemingly esoteric to the people who are outside the bubble. It's a really good example of how we're all barreling ahead, right? We've kind of refined our POV about AI, where we've decided, and at least preliminarily, what's safe and what's not until we learn more. We can decide if we're going to try something new. Like I decided I'm not doing Claude Code. Well, I tried first and it was annoying, so I didn't feel like being annoyed. Didn't want to be annoyed. So I just moved on. I wasn't in the mood to be annoyed that day. But I think that, you know, for those of us who are in the audience now or later, and then those of us on the screen, I feel like it's becoming harder and harder for us to maintain the beginner mindset. And our primary offer for enterprise when we do education is a series of 5 workshops. The last one is ChatGPT. Custom GPTs, etc., because I'm not entirely sure the group is going to get there.
Right.
We don't always get to the skill level of even being able to make a custom GPT, and I'm being paid to make sure that they can do stuff. It's crazy. The gap between us is just widening too.
Yes, and my point I just want to clarify, because I agree, and it is really helpful to have beginners around me, who are like, nope, don't move on from Markdown, because that's not a term, right? But also the idea, like my message in this, like Claude Code is okay, please don't be scared, is Claude Code is actually very much like the chat interface. It just can do some more things, but not to be scared, right?
Yeah.
Like all of us were beginners at some point, and we're here to help.
Fair.
And you know what? You have one of the greatest tools to help you learn, right? So if you go into Claude, let's say Claude Code, you know nothing what you're doing, you have Claude to literally guide you. If you do not know how to use subagents, hey, I want to build a agent. How do I do that? And if you think something is out of reach, you're like, hey, this is what I think I'm doing. Can you do that? Yes, no. Here's how we would do it. Here's my task. Like Opus 4.5 is that good. Codex 5.2, GPT 5.2, that good that you just need to ask it. And I think that's like kind of the mindset that we're trying to ensure. It's like, it's not like, I think we're still trying to get people to get away from it doesn't work, there's an expert to help me. I was no, this thing can talk to you back and like, help you, literally help you understand. But it's a hard kind of shift to think about it that way, because it is, right?
That was literally my Friday afternoon, and I have time. I'm going to continue talking. Everybody can drop off. I'll be talking to you guys alone. I don't want that to happen. Please stay. But Friday afternoon, I had Claude interface, right? Like Claude.ai interface running Opus 4.5, saying, I want to install Claude Code. And I had Claude Code being installed on my laptop. Everything that I went back and forth, I was like, what just happened to Claude on the desktop, on like in the chat interface? Oh, we'll do this. Tell Claude Code this. I come down, I tell Claude Code that. Like we went back and forth and connected it to, I'm going to say scary terms, but we connected it to GitHub and made sure Git was installed on both machines so that I could work on a project on Windows and the MacBook laptop. That was the goal. And it isn't even that I needed to be in a particular place for that to work. I just had to be where I was, and Claude met me there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it will meet you there too, is I think what we're saying. You can't do free because you're going to run out of stuff too soon. But I am on Pro, which is why Karl is doing the demo, because none of the rest of us have co-work yet. We're not on Max. All right. Any other things for the people, everybody, before we let the people go about their day? Here we go.
Yeah, I guess not.
So long, farewell. All right. Thanks everybody for watching. You can join us in our community Slack at the Daily AI Show community .com. Is that true? And we have a newsletter, and go and maybe just think about. Just think, if this is too much, just imagine yourself as a Cloud Code user for 5 minutes, right? Like, what would you do? There was a whole conversation in the chat about what you would ask for, right? If I could build any tool for myself, what tool would I build? Like, this is sort of your magic genie here. You don't actually have to do it. Just what would you do? And is that worth doing something to try to figure that out? All right. Thanks. We're back tomorrow. And hope to see you there. Thanks. Bye.
Aloha.